Beyond the Ural Mountains lies a land so immense it could swallow the entire United States twice over. This is Siberia, a vast and silent realm that spans 7 time zones. Here, winter temperatures fall below -70 degrees, and yet volcanoes still breathe fire into the Arctic sky. Reindeer herders cross frozen tundra as they have for 1,000 years. Shamans still chant on sacred islands, and mighty rivers freeze into highways of solid blue ice. 3 things about this land that most people do not know. Somewhere in Siberia, Soviet cosmonauts trained for missions to Mars, not in a simulator, on a volcanic plain so alien that scientists chose it as the only adequate rehearsal on Earth. One lake in Siberia holds 20% of all the planet's unfrozen fresh water, more than all 5 of North America's Great Lakes combined. On the quietest winter nights, the ice sings. And in 1939, Japanese engineers built a lighthouse on what is now Russian territory. After the war, the Soviets converted it to run on nuclear power. Today it stands abandoned. Its lamp is dark. Seabirds nest in its corridors. Siberia is waiting just on the other side of your screen.
This is Yakutia, the frozen heart of Siberia, a republic almost the size of India, where the ground itself never thaws and winter lasts for 9 long months of the year.
Here, the cold is not weather. It is a way of life woven into every breath, every footstep, every quiet morning by the fire. Welcome to Ust-Nera, one of the coldest permanently inhabited places on Earth. Tucked into the Oymyakon highlands of northeastern Yakutia, this small town of fewer than 5,000 people lives at the very edge of human endurance. In January, the air settles into a deep, glassy stillness as temperatures drop to nearly -60 degrees Celsius. Pipes freeze solid. Engines must be left running through the night. Even breath crystallizes the moment it leaves the lungs, not as a metaphor, as a physical fact. Step outside and the air immediately hardens what passes through it. And yet, life continues. Children walk to school. Markets open at dawn. Smoke rises from wooden chimneys into the pale Arctic light. To live in Ust-Nera is not merely to survive the cold. It is to learn its quiet, ancient rhythm. And around this frozen town, the people who built that rhythm have been living it for longer than most civilizations have existed. Surrounding Ust-Nera lies the Sakha Republic, the largest administrative region in the world. Covering more than 3 million square kilometers, it stretches from the Arctic Ocean to the Stanovoy Mountains, almost entirely sealed, beneath 1,000 meters of permafrost. Forests of larch and pine roll endlessly over the horizon, broken only by mighty rivers and the occasional wooden village standing alone in the snow. This is the homeland of the Sakha people, also known as the Yakuts, descendants of Turkic nomads who migrated north more than 1,000 years ago. They learned to breed horses small enough and tough enough to dig for grass beneath the deepest snow, and to build log houses banked with earth that could hold warmth against the killing cold. 1,000 years of living at the very edge of what is survivable. And they did not merely survive. They built a civilization of extraordinary depth. Their epic poetry, the Olonko, is sung in voices passed from grandmother to grandchild, recognized by UNESCO as a masterpiece of intangible heritage. In Sakha mythology, the world is held aloft by sacred horses, and the sun itself is a living being. To stand in Yakutia is to feel that mythology pressing close, as if the land beneath your feet still believes. 6,000 kilometers to the east, where Siberia meets the open Pacific, the Earth itself is still being born. This is Kamchatka, a land where ice and fire share the same horizon, and where the Earth itself is still being born. This long, narrow peninsula juts out into the Pacific for more than 1,200 kilometers and is home to over 300 volcanoes, 29 of which are still active. From above, the landscape resembles a painter's wild palette. White snowfields, black lava flows, emerald valleys, and steaming blue lakes scattered across the wilderness. Brown bears roam its rivers in such numbers that Kamchatka holds the highest density of bears anywhere in the world. Each summer, millions of salmon return to spawn, fueling a wild ecosystem largely untouched by roads or cities. The bears know the calendar. The salmon know the river. The cycle has not changed in 10,000 years. Few places on the planet remain so raw, so primal, so unmistakably alive. Tolbachik, often called the Black Moon of Kamchatka. Its last great eruption in 2012 sent rivers of molten rock pouring across the plateau for more than a year, reshaping the surrounding land into a vast field of solidified lava, fine black ash, and twisted volcanic sculptures stretching to the horizon. Walking across it feels like trespassing on another planet. The ground crunches underfoot. The air smells faintly of iron, and pale steam still drifts up from hidden vents far beneath the surface. Russian cosmonauts once trained on this very terrain, on ground so alien that scientists chose it as a rehearsal for missions to Mars, not a simulation. The actual surface. NASA later used the same photographs to study the Martian landscape. The last eruption ended in 2013. The lava is still warm in places. The vents are still breathing. If you needed to understand what another planet feels like beneath your feet, this is the only place on Earth to come. And deeper inside Kamchatka's wilderness, something even more extraordinary was found, entirely by accident. Hidden deep within the Kronotsky Nature Reserve lies the Valley of Geysers, one of only a handful of such places on Earth. Discovered by accident in 1941 by a young Soviet geologist who followed an unfamiliar sound through the snow and found a narrow river gorge containing nearly 200 thermal springs and around 90 active geysers. There are only 5 such valleys on the entire planet: in Iceland, New Zealand, Chile, Yellowstone, and here. 4 were already known to science. This one was found by following a sound no one had described. Plumes of boiling water erupt from the ground at unpredictable intervals, painting the air with shifting curtains of mist. The cliffs around them blaze with mineral colors, streaked in red and orange and chalky white where the heat of the earth has slowly bled through the stone. Brown bears wander unbothered through the valley, drawn by its warmth and by the salmon that return each year. It is a glimpse of our planet, still in the act of creating itself. From Kamchatka, the journey turns south, toward a structure that belongs to 2 countries, 2 wars, and 1 abandoned century. Far to the south, on the rugged coast of Sakhalin Island, stands the Aniva Lighthouse, one of the most haunting structures in all of Russia. Built by Japanese engineers in 1939, when the southern half of Sakhalin was still part of Japan. It rises from a lonely outcrop at the edge of the wild Sea of Okhotsk. After the Second World War, it passed into Soviet hands and was eventually converted to run on nuclear power, allowing it to operate without a human keeper. No maintenance team, no lighthouse keeper, an automated nuclear lighthouse on a remote rock in the middle of a cold, gray sea. Today, the lighthouse is abandoned. Its corridors are silent, its lamp is dark. The rooms once lived in by lonely keepers are now ruled by seabirds and salt wind. Japanese built, Soviet converted, Russian abandoned. 3 countries, 3 eras, 1 lighthouse, and nobody tending it now. From the air, it looks like a forgotten relic from a vanished world, a stone candle standing alone against the endless gray sea. From the forgotten lighthouse, the journey turns inland, toward the water that holds 1/5 of everything humanity will ever drink. This is Baikal, the deepest and oldest lake on Earth. Formed 25 million years ago in a great rift in the planet's crust, it holds nearly 20% of all the unfrozen fresh water in the world. Enough to supply all of humanity for 40 years. Its surface stretches over 600 kilometers from north to south, far more like an inland sea than a lake. And at its deepest point, the lake bed plunges more than 1,600 meters below the surface. 20% of all the unfrozen fresh water on the planet, more than all 5 of North America's Great Lakes combined. If every river on Earth diverted its flow into Baikal, it would take a full year to fill it. 1 lake, 1 rift in the Siberian crust, 1/5 of what humanity needs to survive. The water is famously clear, visibility reaching 40 meters, deep enough to watch fish drift far below as if suspended in glass. In winter, the entire surface freezes into a vast cathedral of ice, fracturing into turquoise patterns with methane bubbles caught frozen in mid-rise. The ice grows nearly 2 meters thick, and on the quietest nights, it sings, cracking and groaning across miles of dark silence. More than 30,000 species call Baikal home, including the Nerpa, the only freshwater seal on the planet. For the Buryat people of these shores, Baikal is a living god. Its mountains, the children of the lake, and every river flowing into it, a story slowly finding its way home. At the heart of the lake lies Olkhon Island, the largest of Baikal's 27 islands, 72 kilometers long and shaped entirely by wind, with golden steppes in the south, dense forest in the north, and white limestone cliffs falling steeply into the water. Olkhon is the spiritual center of the Buryat people, who follow a shamanism in which every river, cliff, and tree is inhabited by a living spirit. An old legend whispers that Genghis Khan was born among its hidden valleys. The island itself is said to be the dwelling place of the guardian spirit of Baikal. On its western shore rises Cape Burhan, the Shaman Rock, 2 stone peaks rising directly from the water. Within the larger one, a small cave that served as one of the most important shamanic ritual sites in all of northern Asia for thousands of years. For centuries, only shamans were permitted to approach. Even today, visitors are asked to walk softly and leave the rock entirely untouched. Sacred prayer poles hung with colored ribbons line the roads, marking crossings between this world and the next. By night, the Milky Way pours across the sky like a second river flowing above the water. For one long, silent moment, it becomes very easy to believe that something ancient is watching from inside the stone. Far to the northwest, a different people have been reading a different landscape for 1,000 years, without ever stopping to build a wall. Far in the northwest of Siberia lies the Yamal Peninsula, whose name in the language of its people means simply the end of the world. Theirs is a flat, frozen land of tundra and shallow lakes stretching all the way out to meet the icy Kara Sea. There are no trees here. The horizon is one unbroken line, and the silence runs so deep that the wind itself seems to speak. It is the homeland of the Nenets, one of the last true nomadic peoples on the planet. For more than 1,000 years, they have followed their reindeer across this tundra in a yearly migration of more than 1,000 kilometers, walking the same ancient paths their ancestors did, in the same slow and patient rhythm. Entire families travel together by sled. Their conical tent, the chum, is raised in under an hour. Children learn to drive sleds long before they learn to read. Their dogs run alongside, watching the herd, attentive to every shift of the wind. At night, beneath the long polar darkness, the green ribbon of the aurora lifts across the sky, and the only sound for kilometers is the soft breath of reindeer pressed against the snow. To the Nenets, the land itself is alive. Every river, every hill, every shifting wind has a name and a spirit, and the world is something to be shared, never owned. To meet them is to glimpse a way of life older than nations, older than written language, older than almost anything we still know how to measure. In the very center of Siberia, a place exists that can only be reached by a single means of transport. Rising above the Arctic Circle in central Siberia is the Putarana Plateau, a remote highland that few outsiders have ever set foot upon. There are no roads here, no villages, no cell signal. The only way in is by helicopter, drifting low over a wilderness that stretches in every direction for hundreds of kilometers. Larger than the entire United Kingdom and protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, Putarana is one of the most untouched landscapes left on Earth. More than 25,000 lakes scatter the plateau like fragments of a shattered mirror. Cold rivers carve straight across the highlands, fed by waterfalls so numerous that no one has ever finished counting them, some plunging for hundreds of meters, vanishing into mist long before they reach the canyon floor. Sheer basalt cliffs drop into deep canyons, their flat tops resembling the broken steps of a long-abandoned giant staircase. At its heart lies Lama Lake, a long blue corridor of water flanked by towering walls of dark, weathered stone stretching far beyond the curve of the human eye. Wild reindeer migrate here in vast herds during the brief Arctic summer. In the short autumn, the entire plateau bursts into deep red and burnt orange before the snow returns and seals the land in silence for 9 long months. To stand here in the absolute absence of any other human being is to feel exactly how vast the Earth still is. Putarana is silence made into geography. Far to the west, on a wind-swept plateau in the Ural Mountains, 7 figures have been standing in silence for 200 million years. On the western edge of Siberia, deep in the northern Ural Mountains, stand the stone giants of Manpupu-Ner. 7 enormous pillars of weathered rock, the tallest rising 42 meters, planted across a wind-swept plateau in absolute solitude. They are at least 200 million years old, slowly carved by ice, water, and the patient hand of time, from a mountain range that no longer exists. The range eroded entirely over the millennia. These 7 columns survived because the rock they are made of was harder than everything that once surrounded them. The mountains dissolved. The pillars remained. For the Mansi people, the indigenous reindeer herders of this region, the pillars are not stone, but story. According to their legend, 7 giants once crossed these mountains in pursuit of the Mansi tribe. When the shaman of the giants caught sight of the sacred mountains of the Mansi, his staff fell from his hand in awe, and all 7 were turned to stone where they stood. They have watched over the plateau ever since, frozen mid-step in a moment that became eternity. And hidden deeper inside Siberia, where the map promises only forest, something the map cannot explain is waiting. Hidden in the wilderness of the Baikal region lies one of the strangest landscapes in all of Siberia, the Kara Sands. This is a true desert. Golden dunes reaching as high as 30 meters, stretching across 10 kilometers of dense taiga forest. What makes it extraordinary is its setting. The dunes are flanked by glaciers, snowfields, and pine forests, all gathered into the same impossible view. In summer, the sand grows hot enough to burn bare feet. 50 meters away stands a glacier. The temperature difference between the sand and the ice, visible in the same eye line at the same moment, can reach 60 degrees Celsius. A small fragment of the Sahara, somehow lost on the edge of the Arctic. Scientists still debate the exact mechanism of its survival. The prevailing theory involves specific wind patterns and glacial drainage from the last ice age, conditions that allowed this pocket of desert to persist while everything around it froze. The desert and the glacier have been neighbors for thousands of years. Neither has moved. In the western foothills of Siberia stands Tobolsk, once the historic capital of the entire region. Founded in 1587, only a few years after Russian explorers first crossed the Urals, it was for centuries the political, religious, and cultural heart of all Siberia. Its great limestone Kremlin is the only stone fortress ever built east of the Urals, with white walls and bright green roofs, rising above the wide bend of the Irtysh River. Inside its gates stand cathedrals, bell towers, and palaces that once welcomed exiled aristocrats, including in 1917, the family of Tsar Nicholas II on their final journey east before their execution. The last Romanovs spent the last free months of their lives within these walls. The Kremlin watched them arrive. It was still standing when news came of what happened next. To walk through Tobolsk is to step back into a rusherum of long winters, dark cloaks, and slow horse-drawn sleds. From the old capital of Siberia, a steel thread runs east and has been running east since 1891. Stretching across the entire body of the country is the Trans-Siberian Railway, the longest continuous rail line in the world. From Moscow in the west of Vladivostok on the shore of the Pacific, it covers more than 9,200 kilometers and crosses 8 time zones along the way. Begun in 1891 under Tsar Alexander III and completed in 1916, its construction took 25 years and the labor of tens of thousands of workers, prisoners, and engineers, the largest construction project in the history of the Russian Empire. The line crosses the open steppes of the south, the vast green forests of the taiga, and the southern shore of Lake Baikal itself. To travel its full length is to spend nearly 7 days watching Russia slide past the window, station by station, century by century. Passengers describe something that happens around day 3. The landscape continues without change, and the only thing that moves is the light. The train becomes the world. Everything outside it becomes the past. Siberia is not a single destination. It is an entire continent, hidden inside a country. There is the Siberia of fire, where volcanoes still breathe over the Pacific. The Siberia of ice, where rivers freeze into roads and lakes sing through the dark. The Siberia of stone, where ancient giants stand alone on windswept plateaus. And there is the Siberia of people, of the Saka, the Nenets, the Mansi, the Buryat, of shamans, herders, scientists, and railway workers, all of them quietly shaping a land that refuses to be tamed. Everyone who arrives in Siberia eventually finds their own Siberia. When you finally set foot on this vast, ancient land, you do not simply travel through it. Something inside you slowly becomes a part of it.